Okay, so we are at the stage where we have ni plus strun. We brought in the affix strun by the sutram 32182, and now we have ni plus strun. Now we want to assign the is sanya to the beginning shakara of strun. For that we need this sutram 136, which says shaf pratyayasya. Very simple, straightforward sutram. The vritti says pratyasyadihi sha is sanyasya. So if you have a murdhanya shakara at the beginning of a pratyaha, pratyaha means what? That which is prescribed in the adhikara of pratyaha parascha, which starts from 311, 312 and goes to the end of chapter 5. So that is a pratyaha which is prescribed in chapters 3, 4 or 5. Right now we are concerning ourselves with the affix strun, which is prescribed in 32182. So definitely strun has the pratyaya sanya because it's in the adhikara of pratyaha parascha, which includes chapters 3, 4 and 5. So all the sutram says that the designation it is assigned to the letter sha, the murdhanya shakaraha, if it occurs at the beginning of a pratyaha. So we have ni plus strun. Now by this sutram 136, the adi shakaraha gets the sanya, and of course the ending nakara gets the sanya bhalantyam and tasya lopaha. Now the purpose of the nakara as an it is only for the swaraha, for the Vedic intonation, so it doesn't concern us because we are only concerned with this classical language. In a classical language there is no intonation. The ending nakara is meant for the intonation in the Vedas. The beginning shakara of strun has a purpose that we will be seeing shortly, and that is to bring in the sutram 4141 Shid Gaura Divyascha, which prescribes the affix nish in the feminine. So that we'll see that shortly. But continuing with the derivation now, we have ni plus tra. Now at this point what happens is that the Shtutvam, which took place by 8441 Stuna Shtuhu, that reverses itself because the takaraha of the pratyaha took a takara deshaha by Stuna Shtuhu 8441 because of the presence of the mudhanya shakaraha. Now that the mudhanya shakaraha has gone away by tasya lopaha, the nimittam, the cause for Shtutvam, is no longer there. So therefore what happens is that we take into account the paribhasha nimittapaye naimittikasyapayaha. So when the cause is gone, the effect is also gone, which makes perfect sense. So when the cause, in this case the mudhanya shakaraha, it takes lopaha by tasya lopaha, then the effect, which is the Shtutvam, which is the takara desha in place of the takaraha, that also goes away. So we revert back to the takaraha and we get ni tra. Now of course the affix tra has a sanya of ardhadhatukam by ardhadhatukam sheshaha 34114, and therefore we apply sarvadhatuka ardhadhatuka yoho and do the gunadesha in place of the ending ikara of ni, and we get the prajpadikam netra. Netra gets the prajpadika sanya by krit tadita samasascha. Now the idagamaha, which may have happened by 7 to 35 ardhadhatuka sed valadehe, the affix tra was eligible for idagamaha, but this dhatu ni is anudatta upadeshaha. So 7 to 10 ekacha upadeshe nudatat, ekacha upadeshe nudatat, that stops the idagamaha which was potentially coming by 7 to 35. So netra gets the prajpadika sanya by 1 to 46, and this is used in the neuter gender, so we get the form netram as prathama ekavachanam, and this is the instrument for leading. Let's take another example. Let's take the example of this verbal root stu. The dhatu pata is shtui stutau. Here also similarly the ending nyakara of shtui takes is sanya bhalantyam, then tasya lopaha, and then what happens is that the adi shakara of shtui gets the sakara deshaha by dhatva deshasaha, which is 6164, and then the takaraha reverts back to a takaraha because the nimittam for the takaraha, the nimittam for the shtutvam, which is by shtuna shtuhu, the nimittam shakara is no longer there, it has become a sakaraha, so the takaraha reverts back to a takaraha, so we get stu. And similarly to how we derived netram, we derived the form stotram. Same steps, the idagamaha again is stopped by ekacha upadeshe nudatat, and the gunadesha takes place by sarvadhatuka ardhadhatuka yoho, so we get the form stotram. That is the means or the instrument for praising. So it's a hymn or it's a prayer, so that is the instrument for praising, stotram. stuvanti anena iti stotram, that by which people praise is stotram. Let's take one more example. Let's take the verb mih, which is miha sechane from the bhadigana, verbal root mih. Now here we have to do some sandhikaryam, so the first steps are similar. We take mih plus shtran by 3 to 182, then the adi murdhanya shakaraha gets the sanya by shaf pratyayasya, the ending nakara takes is sanya by halantyam tasya lopaha, then by the paribhasha paye naimitikasyapya payaha, the takaraha reverts back to takaraha and we get mih plus tra. So here, as we did before, the tra affix has the sanya of ardhadhatukam by ardhadhatukam sheshaha, so we apply ugantalagu padasya cha, we get mih plus tra. And here also the iragamaha, which was potentially coming in by 7 to 35, is stopped by 7 to 10 ekacha upadeshe nudatat. So now we got meh plus tra. Now we'll perform some sandhi operations here. So first we apply hodha, because this hakara of meh is followed by a jal letter, which is the takara of the affix tra. So that hakara takes the murdhanya dhakara deshaha by hodha and we get made tra. Now what happens is that the takara of the affix tra takes a dhakara deshaha by jashas tathor dhodha. So we do have a jash letter, which is the dhakaraha preceding this takara of tra, so that takara of the affix tra takes the dhakara adesha and we get made dhra by applying 8 to 40, jashas tathor dhodha. And now we get the dhakara adesha in place of the dhakaraha by shtunashtuh. So we get made dra by 8441 shtunashtuh. And finally we get dhodhe lopaha, dhakarasya dhakare pare lopaha. When we have a dhakaraha followed by a dhakaraha, then the prior dhakaraha takes lopaha, so we get medra, which gets the pradivadita sanya by krit tadyata samasascha. So medram is the instrument for urinating. Mutrendriyam medram, so it's a penis. Mutrendriyam medram. So this is how it's derived from the verbal root meha. Now let's take another example, and this example is from the verbal root dansha, which is the 12th verbal root in the list. So we start the derivation with dansha plus shtran. Now as we remarked before, even though Panini says dasha and not dansha in the Sutram 32182, there is no loss of nasal here, because as we are going to see shortly, Panini mentions the term danstra in the ajadiganaha. That clearly shows that when we apply this affix tran, there should be no loss of nasal. Otherwise, the mention of danstra in the ajadiganaha would not make any sense. Okay, so we take dansha in the dhatu partaha. This dhatu is listed as dansha. So we have to keep it as a nakaraha until we get to naschavadantasya jali. Only at that time the nakara becomes anuswara. Until that point, we should keep the nakara of dansha as a nakara only. Okay, so the word we're trying to derive here is dashantyanaya tidamshtra, that by which people bite, that by which somebody bites. So it stands for a large tooth or a tusk or the fang. These are the meanings given in the Apte dictionary for damshtra. This word is used in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, in chapter 11. In verse 25, we have damshtra karala ninchate mukhani drishtva kala nalasan nibhani and so on. So damshtra is used in Gita in more than one time in chapter 11 of Gita. So let's continue with the derivation now. So we have dansha plus shtran by 3 to 182, because Panini specifically mentioned this verbal root, and we can use this affix shtran in the sense of the instrument of the action. So same as before, we remove the letters. The adi shakaraha, murdhanya shakaraha gets the sanya by shaf pratyayasya, and the ending nakara gets the sanya by halantyam tasya lopaha, and by the paribhasha nimta paye naimitikasyapya payaha, the takaraha reverts back to the takaraha and we get danshtra. Now 7 to 10 again stops 7 to 35, because this verbal root dansha is anudatta upadesha. So 7 to 10 eka cha upadesha anudatta stops the ragamaha, which would have been done by 7 to 35. So if we check 7 to the list of verbal roots ending in shakara, ending in a talavya shakaraha, which are anudatta upadesha, there are 10 of them, and they are Krisha, Dansha, Disha, Drisha, Mrisha, Risha, Rusha, Lisha, Visha, Sprishaha. So in that we have Dansha, so it's Anudatta Upadeshaha. So 7 to 10 stops the Ragamaha, which would have been done by 7 to 35. Now we do the Sandhi operations. So we bring in the Murdhanya Shakara Desha in place of the Talavya Shakaraha by Vrashcha, Vrashcha, Srija, Mrija, Yaja, Raja, Vraja, Chasham, Shaha. So the Talavya Shakaraha takes the Murdhanya Shakara Desha. Jali Padante. So in this case we have the Jal letter, which is the Takara of the affix Stran, which is following. So the Talavya Shakaraha takes the Murdhanya Shakara Adesha by 8 to 36. And then we bring in the Anuswara Adesha in place of the Nakaraha by Nascha Padantasya Jali. And after this we put the Takara Adesha in place of the Takaraha of the Pratyaha by Stunashtuhu. So we get Downshtra, which gets the Pratipadika Sanya by Krit Tadita Samasascha. Now this word is used in the feminine, so we have to bring in the appropriate feminine affix Stri Pratyaha before we can use this word, because remember that nothing can be used in the feminine unless it is checked out by the Adhikara of Striyam, which starts from 413. So when we go there, we find the Sutram 4141 Shid Gauradibhyascha, Shid Gauradibhyascha, which prescribes the affix Nish. So we have to take into account this Sutram because the affix Stran contains the Murdhanya Shakara as a it, and since Downshtra ends in this affix Stran, so we definitely have to consider this Sutram 4141 Shid Gauradibhyascha. So this is the next Sutram which we will take, which is 4141 Shid Gauradibhyascha, because we want to decide which feminine affix to use in order to get the feminine equivalent of, to get the feminine form from this Pratipadikam Downshtra. So we'll take 4141 as the next Sutram.